You're listening to Men of Abundance, episode 116 with Jeff McManus. And today we're going to help you grow as a person and as a leader.
Welcome to Men of Abundance, the podcast for those looking to level up their lives by hanging out with some of the greatest leaders and established professionals in our community, living a life of integrity, honor, and the abundance mentality. Prepare to pay it forward with your host, former Army medic turned lifestyle entrepreneur, Wally Carmichael.
What is going on, Men of Abundance? As usual, we have another amazing featured guest today with Jeff McManus. I'm going to bring him out in just a minute, but today I want to mention something a little bit different. You know, I've been doing this for over a year. We're on episode 116. Can hardly believe it. I can't believe how this all got started and where it's at, and how Men of Abundance as a brand has taken on a life of its own thanks to all of you. You are all of you are directing this show to where it's going, and you're directing the community as well. And you're putting me into a direction that I really had no idea this was going to go. But here's what I want to do. I'm a little bit curious. Well, I'm very curious. I'm always curious about various things. But specifically today, I'm curious about how you found Men of Abundance and kind of what your thoughts are and where we can improve. Here's the problem with iTunes. And as you know, this podcast and many, many other podcasts are all launched on iTunes. The problem is iTunes doesn't tell us how many subscribers we have to the show. It tells us how many downloads we have, but then there's other people that listen to the show on different platforms. So it's not really super accurate. So I'm going to ask a few of you to do me a favor, but I'm going to give something back to you if you happen to be one of the ones that I choose to have a conversation with. So here's what I want to do. I want to talk to 10 listeners. Just 10 of you. That's all I really have time for at this point in time. And that's really all I need to kind of get the idea of what I'm trying to do here. And I want to talk to 10 people that I have never talked to before. I know I've talked to some of you. I know some of you that listen are past guests and maybe even future guests on Men of Abundance. But if we have not talked face-to-face before, if we have not talked on the phone, if we have not communicated in any way, shape, or form over social media, you're the person I want to talk to, whether you're man or woman. And women, this is going to give you an opportunity to get on Skype with me, because we're going to get on a Skype call. It may even be video, depending on the time of day that we're able to get on. And I'm just going to ask some very simple questions, which is, where did you hear about Men of Abundance? How did you get introduced to us? What do you love about Men of Abundance, the podcast, and the community, if you happen to be in the community? What do you not like about the podcast, and what can we do better? Then, after I get that out of the way, I'm going to ask, what can I do for you? And at that point in time, we are going to be able to have a quick dialogue on any way that I might be able to add some value to your life, to your day, and maybe even give you a few pointers to get to that next level, whatever that may be. All I need is 10 minutes of your time. So here's how you can get that 10 minutes. Just send me an email directly to me at wally@menofabundance.com, and in the subject line, put MOA 10. That's the number 10, MOA 10. I will reply back with a link to my scheduler so that you can get scheduled on my calendar so that we can get that 10 minutes, and I'm only going to take 10 people. And in this very rare occasion, you can either be a man or a woman. I want to talk to any of you who I have not talked to already. So if you want to make sure to get your 10-minute slot, you might want to pause this right now and send me an email to wally@menofabundance.com, subject line MOA 10. Now, as I mentioned last week, I'm going to start doing 3 episodes every single week now, since I have a little bit more time on my hands. I'm going to do a Tuesday and a Thursday interview session, Friday, Aloha Friday, which I'm just getting so much feedback from the Aloha Friday. I truly appreciate that. I'm glad you're enjoying those. To make sure that you don't miss one single episode, make sure you're subscribed to Men of Abundance. And while you're over there getting subscribed, leave us a rating and review. It makes a huge difference and makes a huge impact on people finding Men of Abundance in iTunes and on other platforms. Here's the cool thing. You can also leave a review by simply clicking on the Leave a Review button at menofabundance.com underneath any one of the podcast players. One of the latest reviews was left by Bidizzle Fizzle. That name just cracks me up. He or she says, great discussions. I love this show. Wally has amazing energy and really knows how to engage with his interviewees and audience. He gets some great guests who talk about life-changing ideas that can help you push yourself forward. He's a really genuine person and host, and it shows. That creates such a good show. Thanks, Wally. Keep putting out such great content. B Dizzle Fizzle, I truly appreciate that amazing 5-star review. It really does make a difference. I'll be reading more. There's several more that came in over the last week, and I've already read through them. I absolutely love them, but I'm going to save those for other episodes. So go there and leave your rating and review and do your part in being abundant today and sharing Men of Abundance with others. Now, as I already mentioned, our featured guest today is Jeff McManus. Jeff grows things. As the Director of Landscape Services at the University of Mississippi, Ole Miss, he grows plants, he grows people, and he grows ideas. Jeff is a problem solver, understanding that doing more with less is a 21st century mandate. After coming to the university in 2000, Jeff took on the challenge of managing a multi-million-dollar landscaping beautification implementation project. Faced with a demand for excellence and high productivity and a stagnant budget, Jeff knew that growing the people was critical to growing the plants. Through that experience, Jeff developed his approach to managing resources and developing personnel. His Grow Theory, a management and professional development approach based in the belief that all humans either strive for or have within them the elements of greatness, resiliency, opportunity, and wisdom. They just need a fertile environment to grow. I can go on and on with all of Jeff's accomplishments. I'm going to have all of this listed up in the show notes at menofabundance.com/116. And you're going to get the opportunity to learn so much more about Jeff because he has got a gift for you at the end of this episode. So make sure you listen to the end so that you get that information. Men of Abundance, it is my pleasure to introduce you to Mr. Jeff McManus. Jeff, welcome to Men of Abundance, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing awesome, Wally. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Seriously. I heard you speak. It must have been on EO Fire with John Lee Dumas or somebody, because I heard your story when I first started podcasting, and I put your name on the list right away. And that list has just been sitting there. A couple of those folks have come on, but Interview Valet has been sending me so many people that I just don't have to reach out and touch anybody anymore. And I'll be honest with you, the list kind of just sat there for a little while. And then when Karen contacted me and said, hey, I got this guy, Jeff, you just need to talk to. I was like, oh, that's fate. Are you kidding me right now?
Yeah, they're a good group of folks that Interview Valet, and I'm excited to be a part of your show. It's an exciting time that we get to be a part of these neat podcasts where people are being able to tune into what they want to listen to.
It really is. It absolutely is. And I can say so much more about that. But first I want to ask you, where are you at in the world right now?
Right now, I'm in the beautiful town of Oxford, Mississippi. If you think of Mayberry, RFD, that's what Oxford is like. It's just a small college town, beautiful, quaint area. I've been here for about 17 years.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. You know, I still watch once in a while reruns of Mayberry and expose that to my kids. Of what is it, the
Andy Griffith
show. There you go. And in fact, I'm sitting here, my little guy is always near me, and he's here looking me in the face. I'm sitting
what
here
is
going,
that? He may be asking you, what is that?
What is that?
Griffith?
Yeah, I don't know if I've exposed him to it yet or not. But for you younger guys, you definitely got to go out and check out the Andy Griffith show. It's black and white, but it's some good stuff, man. It doesn't get too much more wholesome than that.
That's right.
Yeah, I love it. So before we get too much into the show and get into your amazing story, I absolutely love, I like to ask my guests, what are they grateful for today? Because that's the way I start out every single day, and I just like to start the show out like that. So, Jeff, what are you grateful for today?
Wow, that's a great one. I am grateful for my faith, my faith in God, and I have to add my family. Just because my family now is spreading out, we're going to college and doing all those things, and just so grateful for my young men, my boys. I have 4 boys I'm just truly grateful for, and of course my wife. So really grateful for them.
That is beautiful. That is really beautiful. And this time of year, how old are your kids?
We're in 21, 20, 19, and we just had Mark, our last one, turn 16. So car insurance is full tilt with 4 boys.
Exactly.
And it's funny, my boys will go, "Oh, yeah, I can tell you, Dad, what the police say when you come through this intersection." And it's like, really? It's like he apparently gets pulled over quite a bit. So it's always fun.
Indeed. I got a 22-year-old, a 17-year-old getting ready to graduate high school, so he's getting into that age too, and then a 7-year-old. I was just at his first grade show, and it was just beautiful. It's wonderful to be able to watch this youngest one grow up like I have.
Yes.
So
good for you, man.
Yeah,
it's quiver full. It's nice.
Indeed. So, before we get started with the show here, we talked a little bit about, what you do, and really on Men of Abundance, we like to get to know the man behind the abundance, and you are definitely an abundant leader. So let's get a little bit personal. Let's find a little bit more about Jeff and who you are.
Well, I'm married to a beautiful wife, Suzanne, for 22 years, and we have a great, loving marriage. I came to work here at the University of Mississippi, which is also known as Ole Miss, and in the year 2000, been here 17 years, doing as the director of landscaping. Through that, I've had the entrepreneur spirit and created a landscaping business. I have a full-service landscaping business on the side as well. So I have a daytime job and I have a nighttime job. And then I've started with the leadership development and growing leaders into leaders mentality that everybody's a leader. Have started launching that as well and helping other organizations. So that's what I'm doing in a nutshell right now. I love to be with family. I love summertime because we're swimming, we're interacting in the backyard, we're playing wiffle ball. We have all those fun events. So this is a great, now you and I are talking here in May, and this is a great time of year for us to be outside and playing.
Beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. Mm-hmm. I agree. I love this time of year. And, growing leaders into leaders. That was what really caught my eye about you and your story. And, the fact of the matter is, Jeff, we just need so many more people like you and what you've done with your staff early on, and then grew that into what it is today. It's just simply unbelievable. And I'm really grateful for you that you are traveling around and willing to talk to people like myself and talk to organizations on how to grow their employees and their staff into leaders, and not just simply be an employee coming to work every day to grab a check. So I'd love for you to share some of that story and how that all got started.
Well, Wally, it started in really one of those down moments where we were doing good work. We were a good organization, and we kept production up high, but I kept getting pushback or info from our leaders on the floor or out in the field, and they were saying, we keep dealing with this drama, we keep dealing with this rumor mill. And I just kept pointing the finger going, man, I wish those people out there would stop that. And Zig Ziglar says every time you're pointing one finger away from you, you got 3 more fingers pointing back at you. And I had to realize that it was really me that had to change. And so I had to take a different approach. I had to, one, be a little more firm with our folks here, and in a loving way make them successful but hold them accountable. But then really what I started doing was saying, can I intentionally change the culture? Can I proactively change the culture from a whining and complaining to everybody living for a paycheck to a passion? Can I get guys really excited about what they're doing and start thinking about their purpose in life? And it ignited that little spark. So I started with some experiments and working with small groups with our folks here. And over time, We've changed the culture to a growth culture, a culture where we have leadership. People are developing into leaders, and they want to be here. They have that passion to serve and be a part of something bigger than themselves. You think about it, we're at work. Most guys are at work a lot longer than they are with their families. So it's a ministry. The workplace can be a true ministry if we want it to be, and help other people, to grow other people. And that's what turned for me, was realizing I needed to invest in our frontline people through leadership development.
Yeah, that's a very good point, that most people that work, they're men and women, in fact, they're at work more than they're with their family. So why not make it pleasurable? Why not make it something that
Absolutely.
Don't just go just to make a buck? I mean, seriously, so many people do that, and you see it. That's why there's more heart attacks on Monday mornings than there are on any other day of the week, because whatever their job is, it's stressful. But also, just leaving the house sometimes is stressful, because you've got things going on at home that you really want to stay home and attend to, but you can't. And if you do, you're going to lose that paycheck, and it's going to make matters even worse. So
Yes.
you might as well make it pleasurable.
That's right. You are absolutely right. So we realized that that this had to be more than just about a paycheck. So we started talking about, do you really want to work here? Is this what you really want to do? Because 25 years is a long time to be in a place just for a pension that you hate. And we got people dialed into that. Say, if you don't like it, either make a choice to start liking it, or let's find another place for you that's better. And I've had guys who've actually been looking for other jobs who have been able to approach me and say, look, I'm just letting you know I'm looking, and I need a good reference. And we've helped them. And so we make that culture, that environment where we want people to be successful no matter what they're doing, no matter where they are in life. And that's the key. We want others to be successful around us.
And that in itself just makes it so much more pleasurable to get up in the morning and go in to do whatever it is that they're doing for you, or for anybody else for that matter.
That's right.
So you started out talking about that this all started in a down moment, and anybody who's doing anything in life ultimately has those kick in the gut moments, literally those ones that you feel knocks the wind out of your sail and takes you to your knees. I would love for you to share one of those stories with us and really make us feel that. And the reason why I do this is because I want the men to realize that we all get kicked down from time to time. It's what you do afterwards and along the way that really makes you the abundant leader that you know you want to be.
Right out of college, I was put into a leadership role by title, and I was leading a group of people in Orlando, Florida, and most of them were older than I was. And I remember this veteran, Rick, was our top producer. Everybody in the company knew Rick. He was the go-to guy. He was a lead foreman out in the field, and he was a great revenue producer. The large hotel we were working for had a lot of respect for Rick. He planted plants. He could do everything. And Rick asked me one day as I'm coming along, I'd probably been there 3 or 4 months, was the manager by title. And Rick asked me, he goes, "Hey, Jeff, how do you like this flower bed that we just planted here right outside the entrance here?" And it's a huge flower bed, and they had put a lot of time into it and energy, and it was gorgeous. It was beautiful. They had done a magnificent job. So I looked at it, and I said, Rick, it looks good. But there's a few plants, Rick, right back there in the back that are just a little bit out of line. And I don't know if they really were or not. I was just me trying to be the big guy. And Rick got off his knees from planting with his tools in his hand. He looked at me straight in the eyes, and he said 2 words: "I quit." And he dropped the tools. He turned around and he walked away. Now, this is the number one guy in our company that everybody respects. My bosses who were over me, I'm the new guy, and Rick quits on my watch. I'm panicking inside, but I'm trying to hold it together. And Rick walks away, and I can remember that hollow, empty feeling that I had of, oh my goodness, I just made the best guy on our company quit, and we could lose this contract. We could lose this whole thing. This could all be my fault. I was fortunate enough A day or two later, Rick came back and we talked. And he let me know that it's my words. He goes, Jeff, we can never please you. We can never please you. You're never happy with our work. And it was such an aha, kick in the gut moment. Is they listened. I was their boss. They're listening to me. My words matter. And so from that moment on, I have really been cautious on how I hand out criticism. And don't hand out hollow criticism just to try to keep somebody's head from getting too big. We get enough criticism in this world. This world beats us down enough. We need to keep encouraging and building our teams up. And ever since then, that has always stuck with me, Wally, of enough is enough moment.
Yeah, I can definitely see. Well, I mean, seriously, I can imagine the thought of that, and just knowing I've seen those new leaders. I've worked for those new leaders, and fortunately, you got it. Some of them never do, and I personally have a leader that I know and is a very good friend of mine, who was a young lieutenant back in the day when I was in the 82nd Airborne Division. He came in just thinking he was God's gift to the 82nd Airborne Division and our medical platoon, and really thought he was going to run things, not realizing that he's got, a good 30 years of NCO experience, non-commissioned officer experience there to help lead, train, and mentor him. But for those, he had a hard time at first until he figured out that, he really needs to listen to those that are doing the work and that have been there for a little while, because we can train you and make you successful. Because ultimately our job is to help make our leaders successful and get the mission done. But it can be a hard road for those guys who just think that they got to come in and they feel that they have to do like you did and say, I've got to criticize something. I mean, I'm the boss.
That's right.
Something's got to be wrong, as opposed to going the other route. So what was the other route? How did you turn that around?
Well, fortunate enough, Rick was a forgiving person, and I was fortunate enough, humbled enough to let Rick come back. So Rick came back to work for us. And I totally changed. I mean, it was a moment where I realized that I needed to be an encourager. And when I did need to correct people, because people do need need accountability and correction, I have quickly gone to the sandwich technique, which is really truly give them a true good compliment. And then the middle part of that sandwich is let's talk about what we need to work on. Let's don't point out criticism, but maybe I could ask questions in a very constructive way. Well, let's take a look at these back plants here in the very back row. What are your thoughts on these? Are you pleased with the way they look? Versus saying those are out of line. And then the end of the back side of the sandwich would be to give them another great compliment is, Rick, I just want to tell you how much I value you. You have added so much, not only revenue, but morale to our team. So I just want to thank you for what you do, and I respect your leadership. That's so much more powerful than the way I did it before. So that really, it has helped me, and it's a constant growing for me to continue to be a better leader each day. I mean, we're never finished growing. Nature tells us that. If we stop growing, we're dead. So that's how I took my takeaway on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, that has to be done in a very sincere manner. And sometimes, even if you want to be as sincere as you do, and you know that we're a work in progress, we all are, the fact of the matter is we don't decide that we're leaders. You may be based on your position, but the fact is those who choose to follow you decide if you're a leader or not, and if you're their leader. But when you're put into a position and you are a leader and you want to be sincere, but you just know it's really, some guys just know it's just really not in their nature. How do they work on that? How do they build that so it really comes off as sincere as they want it to be?
I think sincerity just starts, like you said, from the very beginning of self-evaluation. We have got to be open with ourselves and honest with ourselves. I mean, if we're going to try to fool everybody else, we're going to be living in this hollow management game that nobody respects us. The people we lead already know our mistakes. They just want to know if we can admit it. And let me tell you, I've gotten more respect. Even now, I've been doing this for close to 30 years. When I just take ownership, that is the number one rule in leadership. Take ownership. Be responsible for it, whether it was your fault or not. take ownership, or at least take part ownership in it and make it yours. People respect that so much. So that's my eye-opening moment for most people now, is I start training new leaders that come into our organization, usually a lot of students. We talk about the first person you grow is yourself. The first person you change is you, not the person next to you, not your wife. You're the one that needs to change first.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And another thing that I know that I've personally done myself and is extremely important is when corporate comes down, or your higher headquarters or whatever the case may be comes down, generally if they're going to award the department, they're going to award the leadership. And it's important for the leadership to turn around and hand that right over to the team, because ultimately it's really the team that gets it all done.
That's right. And team leadership is so much more effective today than command and control. Each leader is going to have to make a certain amount of decisions, but what we are finding is the more we let our team be a part of this, setting the standards, dictating how they go through their zones, and creating the quality controls, it's gotten so much easier to manage people because it becomes theirs, versus me going out there and saying, okay, this is what I need you to do today. Do you do this, this, and this? And this is how you do it. Well, then it's just mine, and they're just waiting for me to tell them. But if I give them ownership and let them decide, they're going to get a lot. There is so much power in that, and that's what I want. I need more leaders. I need more people who can think, who have a heart and a passion to have a beautiful campus, versus just, this is my job and I'm just told what to do. You just paid me for my strong back and my hands. You didn't pay me for my brain. I need your brain, and I need your heart into everything we do. That's the key, is to get people fully engaged.
Yeah, that's really important. Now I have a question. Do you find that everybody is receptive to that? And I ask this question specifically because, being in the military as long as I was, there are many people out there that really just want to work. They don't want to be in that leadership position. And I know you're not necessarily referring to as actually taking on a team, but being a leader within themselves and being a part of the team as a leader in the team. But they're put in these leadership positions in the military, I believe, one, too early sometimes, and two, against their will. And it's just the way that the structure is set up within the military. We have to, as leaders, we actually get reprimanded if our subordinates, if our soldiers aren't growing and progressing, going to that next level, to get that next rank, to be in that leadership position. What are your thoughts on that?
That's a great question, because we have many guys here who really don't want to lead other people. And it's frustrating because you need them to stand up and lead and help, maybe guide some student workers who've come on board and things. And what we've tried to empower is what you said initially, is that everybody's a leader. They've got to lead themselves extremely well. And then if they don't want to lead other people, but they've got to realize that their actions, their attitude affects the entire team. It ripples through. So in some ways, you're going to be leading other people whether you realize it or not, by just the way you conduct yourself. So we try to continually talk about self-leadership, and then look for ways to mentor those around you. And when they begin to mentor versus lead them, they're investing value into those people. So we got several guys who are not leaders, probably never will be, but they have embraced the mentorship of adding value to those around them, sharing stories with them. Well, this was, when I first tried to do this, it was really hard because I didn't understand this and this. This is what I found worked good for me. And they'll share a story like that, and the guy will get the message that, okay, this is a better way to do it. What he's trying to do is show me a better way, versus saying, hey, you guy, that's not the way to do it here. Do it like this. Mm-hmm. So there's always a balancing act. I don't think everybody not everybody embraces the fact that they're going to lead other people. So we continually talk about how their actions do affect our entire organization.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks. I appreciate you following up with that and answering that, because it's always been serious concern of mine. I'm like, well, some guys just, back in the days when my dad was in the military, they had a different rank structure where those guys that didn't necessarily want to be leaders, they progressed in a rank, but they weren't in a leadership position. So it's just interesting to hear your perspective on that. So growing weeders into leaders. I don't normally highlight the books and stuff like that on this show, more the person, but I'm really intrigued in how you got that. At what point did you make the decision to write the book, get the book published? Because that's no easy thing to do, on top of everything else that you was already doing. I know you're a busy man, so I think I'm going to write a book. Where did that come from? And then, that obviously launched you into what you're doing now. As you said, you basically have your day and your night job.
That's right. Well, they say I'm a grower. They say I grow plants, I grow people, and I grow ideas. And I think the best way to help other people is to create those formulas or share the story. And I think the book was a big part of that. I'll use the book as a tool to help carry the message and encourage others who may be in a similar path and similar light. The advanced copies that are out there now, people are telling me it's so simple. And I agree. It is a very simple book, but it's taking the action steps. I'm not really sure, other than the fact that I enjoy speaking, and I felt like the book would be a good platform. And you said, why did I write it? I felt like it would just help magnify that story. So I decided to get up early in the morning at 5 a.m. and I would spend an hour each day writing the book. And I thought it was going to take a year. It took me about 2 years to get the book finished. But I'm really glad I did. It's a great labor of love, and so it's something that I have gotten a great personal satisfaction of being able to say, yes, I did this.
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt, and it definitely puts you way ahead as far as any of your peers and stuff like that. And it really is a blessing to everybody, because you're right. It's very simple. It really is, and sometimes it's the simple things that we need reminded, or at least stated in a different way. And I absolutely love that. I'm looking forward to get my hands on it, because I've heard you speak about what you do a couple times. I just can't wait to really dig into that.
Look forward to you. You have a saying, Wally, of constantly improve your foxhole. Mm-hmm. And that's we're doing the same thing. We're constantly improving. I use cultivating. We're constantly cultivating greatness. That matter of fact, that's our vision here. That's 2 words: cultivating greatness. And we're just constantly, most people think that's outdoors, that we're cultivating this beautiful landscape, and we're attracting young men and women to come here to go on and cure cancer and write great novels and all that. But really, the constant improvement in your foxhole, the cultivating greatness, comes with each other. Of growing each other, and we do that when we started doing these leader to leader meetings, where we were challenging each other by just talking, challenging, but yet listening to what another man was saying. And it's built our team into a much stronger unit, where we can tackle things without a lot of drama anymore.
Wow, I love it. Absolutely. So Jeff, we're going to pay it forward to our abundant leaders. You ready to do that?
Let's do it.
Hey guys, listen. As I get a little bit older, I'm 48 now, I'm noticing that more and more of my peers, my high school friends, my Army buddies, a lot of these guys are just in terrible, terrible shape. And I got to admit, I'm not in the best shape of my life right now, because I've got some ailments of my own. But I'm still living a healthy life. And I attribute that to just constantly moving and eating about 70, maybe 80% healthy, closer to 70% healthy. And the biggest thing that I attribute that to is this dense nutrition shake that I've been drinking for well over 7 years. And my wife and I both have been drinking this stuff. It greatly improved my cholesterol many years ago. It has improved my joint health. It has improved my esophageal reflux. It improved her diabetes. Look, I just can't say enough about Shakeology ever since I first discovered it. You can learn more about my story with this stuff and why I drink it at menofabundance.com/shake. And listen, By purchasing your bag of Shakeology, it seems a little bit expensive at first, but when you consider that it's one meal a day that you're paying for, if you were to pay for one meal a day, add that up, and I guarantee you it's going to be more than the cost of a bag of Shakeology. And there's a money back guarantee, a 30-day bottom of the bag money back guarantee. But here's the thing. When you purchase from that link, I do get a kickback here at Men of Abundance. And that's extremely important because at this point, as far as my wife is concerned, this Men of Abundance podcast is nothing more than a hobby and an expensive hobby at that. To me, it's not a hobby. It is me sharing these amazing conversations with you, and I know you're getting value out of it. So I want to add more value to your life, to you and your family, by introducing you to Shakeology and getting a little bit of kickback so that I can help keep the mic on over here at Men of Abundance, so I can introduce you to even more amazing men, select women, and even a few couples. Give Shakeology a try for just 30 days, and if you're like me, many years ago, I totally expected to get my money back on the 28th day. I just could not bring it upon myself because I felt so freaking amazing. My cholesterol was greatly improved. So many other things changed in my health and my lifestyle. I just couldn't return the empty bag. And here I am over 7 years later still drinking it. Give it a try. Go to menofabundance.com/shake. And as an added bonus, once I see that you've ordered your bag of Shakeology, or just shoot me an email to let me know that you did, and I will set up for you a personalized meal plan just for you. We're just going to have to get on the phone for a minute. All right, now back to the conversation. Excellent. So share 1 to 3 actionable steps with Men of Abundance that they can take action on today.
List your blessings every day. Take 3 minutes, list your blessings. I have a journal where I list my blessings every day. Number 2, take ownership. Take ownership in everything you do. Take ownership for your marriage. Take ownership for your business. It's not somebody else. You have a real big part in everything in your life. Take ownership. That's a mindset, by the way. And then the third actionable step is always think of yourself as a leader. And so the actionable step is when you look at yourself in the mirror, you tell yourself, I am a leader. I am a leader. And you say positive affirmations about yourself in the mirror. You know, the voice that we listen to most is the voice that's in our head. Mm-hmm. And if we're beating ourselves up and we're going down these negative roads, that's the voice we're listening to. So I had to change the way I talk to myself. And so each night I'll spend time, usually the last 30 minutes to 60 minutes before I go to bed, and work on positive affirmations, work on my prayer time, reading time, where I'm getting into a good, healthy mindset. Be a leader.
Excellent. And that last one that you said, I want to comment on that, and you hit on it as well. We're always talking to ourselves anyway. And when I say this to men and I say positive affirmations, they're like, woo woo, all this crazy stuff. I said, well, look, call it what you want, but the fact of the matter is you're already talking to yourself, but you don't realize it. It's just ingrained in your upbringing. The way you've been talking to yourself has put you where you're at today. It takes work to be a man of abundance. It takes work to be a better person yesterday than you are today, or tomorrow than you are today. Right?
Amen. That's right. That's so right.
It's weird, but it's uncomfortable. But look in the mirror and tell yourself those affirmations, positive affirmations, before you go to bed, because that's what you're going to be sleeping on. And it does absolutely make a very impactful difference in your life.
It does. I can tell you when I don't do it, after a few days, I know it. And there's just something about it.
Yeah, so. And I can say the same thing about when I'm not in the habit of writing down what I'm grateful for every single morning and my blessings.
Yes.
So what are you reading or listening to today that you would recommend to our abundant leaders, and why?
One of the books that I love reading over and over again is a John Maxwell book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. You know, I'm a grower. I like to grow things. So this Invaluable Laws of Growth deals all about developing ourselves. And if we change ourselves, that's when we start seeing change in the bottom line. We start seeing better production. Everything in our life changes when we change ourselves.
Usually I ask, what does living a life of abundance mean to you? But before I even get into that, I want to ask you, what do you feel holds most people back from living their life of true abundance?
I think what holds most people back is a lack of confidence, a lack of courage to run toward the roar. There's a tendency to, once we experience failure, we're in the habit of quitting and being overtaken by temporary defeat. And persistence, there is nothing like persistence. You can do a lot with persistence. And so that's when I wanted to quit writing my book. There were several, at 5 o'clock in the morning, really? Nobody's making me write this book. Yeah, it's all glamorous now because it's over with. But when you're in the middle of it, it's not that glamorous. And getting up early and everybody else is sleeping in, it's being persistent.
So what does living a life of abundance mean to you, Jeff?
I think not having a scarcity mentality of realizing that the water that comes into the harbor raises up all the ships in the harbor. Life is not like a pie where there's a limited amount of money or limited amount of resources. It's more like a harbor. So as we lift those around us, as we encourage those to grow, we're going to grow as well.
Oh, I absolutely love that analogy. I really like that analogy. That makes a lot of sense. So we're going to close this up. But before we do, what have we not talked about that you would like for our men of abundance to get out of this conversation?
There is such a large reward in growing other people and taking them to the next level. And I wanted to share one quick story with you. We were doing our leadership development. We do it once a month for 1 hour. And one of my guys asked me if he could see me in my office. And he'd been a part of our group probably a year, maybe 2 years. I don't remember now, but he came in my office and he closed the door and he said, "I just want to thank you for these leader-to-leader meetings." I said, "Well, man, you're welcome." I said, I love them. I said, "They're the highlight of my month. We get to talk about adaptability. We get to talk about dependability, all these cool things we talk about." He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "This stuff actually works at home." I go, "Yeah, yeah, sure." He goes, "Well, I just want to tell you it actually saved my marriage." I go, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, I want you to know that my wife and I were going to get a divorce. And having this leader-to-leader, I realized that there were some things I needed to change and work on, and I've become a better man for my wife." And, I'm under my desk, I'm fist pumping, I'm excited. I'm like, wow, that is amazing. I knew that it would help our team. I was hoping it would help our team as they went home at night. And that was a validation, is to invest in other people. It's like sharpening mower blades. You got to take the time to sharpen your blade, because if you don't, that blade's going to get dull and you're not going to have a very good cut out there in the lawn. You got to take a little time to sharpen your people and invest in them and water them and grow them. So that's my parting piece of guidance.
Excellent. I absolutely love that. I really do. So many quotes in there that I'm going to be using to share with all of my social media and everybody else. I'm just going to go back and write all of this stuff down, as I often do. So other than your amazing website, I love your website at jeffmcmanusspeaking.com.
Yes.
It's beautiful. We're going to have that linked up in the show notes. But other than that, how else can our abundant leaders reach out to you and learn more about you?
Well, I would love to offer your leaders and your listeners. I have a leadership class that I teach, a one-day class, and I wanted to give your group that whole curriculum, that one-day curriculum. If they want to email me at there on the website, I'm actually developing a link with you, but it's Jeff McManus Speaking /abundance. And they can pick up that free class agenda on how to develop leaders. It's the step-by-step on what I do to taking people from point A to point B in leadership. And I'll give that free to a PDF file to your listeners.
Absolutely wonderful. I really love that, Jeff, and I really appreciate that. I will have that linked up at menofabundance.com. Just search Jeff. The episode will pop right up, and you'll be able to get access to that, guys, and definitely go take advantage of that.
Well, Wally, I want to say real quick, thank you for serving our country. Yeah, we would not be in a free country without men and women like yourself, and honored to be on your show, and thank you for having me.
My pleasure, and I look forward to meeting you and your family if we get a chance when you guys come out here on vacation next week or next month.
Yeah, I hope we can connect.
I do too. So, hey, aloha, and let me know when you guys are down here, and we'll get together. I'll show you some places that most tourists don't get to. You're going to have a great time anyway. I'll just try to make it that much better.
Well, thanks, Wally. You're very kind, and you get to live in the tropical paradise, so I know you're suffering out there, so enjoy your time.
I am suffering, but it's by design, man.
Good for you.
All right,
Good
take
for
care,
you.
Jeff.
Thanks for having me. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
All right, guys, as Jeff and I were talking about, not everybody wants to be a leader in the sense of being a leader on the job or even in business for that matter. But leadership is not just reserved for the workplace or business or sports or anything of that nature. Leadership is important in every part of your life, from managing your own life, managing your finances, leading your children, and all of that. All of that is involved in leadership. You have to take charge and manage. Now, management and leadership are two different things, but we're basically talking about the same thing in this context. So I feel that it's important that you hone your leadership skills, and if you feel up to it, go to Jeff's website, get into books like Growing Weeders into Leaders, getting into books like How to Win Friends and Influence People, Think and Grow Rich. I talk about it all the time. A lot of these books are leadership books. They're not just books about getting money and all this kind of stuff like the title might suggest. They're leadership books. They're personal development books. Get your mind right. Get your mind into these type of books. Listen to multiple podcasts. Go back and listen to all the episodes of Men of Abundance and listen to other shows that are based around leadership and personal development. All right, that's all I have for you guys today. Now go out and live your life of abundance and make sure to pay it forward.
That's all for today, Abundance Leaders. For more about our guests and the powerful information we shared with you today, be sure to sign up for our mailing list at menofabundance.com. We appreciate your time and look forward to hanging out with you on our next episode. So until then, be sure to pay it forward and live your life of abundance.